Okay, are we back? Almost. YouTube will require a reset here. So if you're on YouTube, you have to come back out. I had to reboot. I don't know what it is. I really it's almost the same time every night, isn't it? Maybe my neighbor's running a microwave or something. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's like it's like almost the exact time, right? So there's something running at this time and interrupts my signal. Zucked up. Zucked up. So, and it just, it affects my viewership and it just bugs me. Bugs me. It's like, just affects the flow here. Last night, I think it was the same time frame. Okay, I don't see it on YouTube yet. Hold on. Well, it's kind of, no, it happens randomly. My internet is not always steady. Sometimes it fails. I can't see it on YouTube yet. Test what? I mean, it's an intermittent problem. It's not. It doesn't happen constantly. Okay, I don't see it on YouTube here. Okay, I don't. Does anyone see it on YouTube? Nobody's on YouTube yet. Why is it not on YouTube? It says live, but I'm clicking on it and nothing happens. I guess I don't know. Sold all your crypto last week. Now that it's gonna go up, you're gonna sell it, right? Very smart of you. Okay, why do I not see any YouTube? The YouTube one won't come up. So it's on YouTube. So I can't get into it. It's like, oh gosh, it's just so zucked up. Okay, let me try again here. Yes, but that's not the lead-in screen is not the right broadcast. It should be a fresh one. Why would there be a lead-in broadcast? No, it's got to be that's a replay. It says live, but I don't see it. Yeah, where's the live one on where's the live one on there we go. Found it. Wow, that was the interface needs work. Okay, interface needs work on YouTube. I had to go find out where the live one was. Oh my gosh. Okay, Ben. See you on YouTube. Okay, so I mean, this like disruption of a very fun conversation. So anyway, talking about we were talking about these things. Okay, so this is a you won't believe how cheap some of these are. Do you know that you can buy this? This is a little bit more expensive, but do you know that you can buy ham radio for $25? $25. So the brand is Chinese, but it's so famous that everyone has one. It's called a Baofeng, and everyone has one of these. Everyone in ham radio has one of these. No tax and free shipping on Amazon. So this one is $67, but the other brands, the older ones are $25. So you could like give one to your entire family. They all have to get a license, but $25 and you have quite a bit of range. You can talk anywhere. So so look what happens every time when the signal drops. Then I start losing. It takes a while for me to build up an audience again on what do you call this? On Periscope. So once my internet is disrupted and I lose the audience, it's really really frustrating. Really, really frustrating. I just hate this, and I don't know what I may need to run my RF spectrum checker to see what the Zuck is transmitting. It's affecting me. You know, is it the wiring? Is it safer talk in Hamden on the internet? Twin mom. That's what I want to answer right now, because that's what I want to answer right now. Because let me just tell you what the problems are with using this in a way. But then again, it may not be a problem. You cannot talk on ham radio without announcing yourself. So you need a license, and your license is checked out. I mean, they get your social security number. You can put a PO box and an address, but you have to use your real name. And yeah, but it's I need good thing it didn't leave, Kelp. But a lot of people leave. Fun action. Try using running Wireshark. No, it's a frequency thing, Donnie. Wireshark isn't going to help me. Wireshark isn't going to help. I mean, you need my friend. Your VPN is high speed or no? My VPN is very high speed. Yes, why? Very high speed. But it's in the U.S. My VPN servers are in the U.S. only. I have 3 regions for my VPN currently. So for those of you currently using the Bice VPN, it's on 2 regions. It's on East and West, and I actually have a 3rd region, except I haven't opened it up yet to the public. It's a South region. So I'm gonna have a East, West, and South. So you'll all be able to use East, West, and South. But at the moment, South is not open yet. I got distracted with all these problems on my server, so I was working on other things. But when I get a chance, it's West Passer for people on the West. I get on the West one. I get because the West Pool is in Los Angeles, the Los Angeles area. I'm getting over 100 megabits per second over. In fact, it's at the max of the charts. I don't really know if it's going faster than that. So I get over 100 megabits in LA. So, yeah, they're big trunks. They're like gigabit Ethernet, large bandwidth. So there's no traffic limits. We're not even near. I prepaid for the traffic, so we're not even near the capacity for those. Not even near. You can adjust the chart and settings. Why one PC only for VPN? Can you make 2 PC available at the same time? Why one PC? You can use 6 devices of any sort, mobile, PCs, whatever you want. Not one. Where do you get the one from? My VPN uses up to 6 devices simultaneously, so you can install that on 50 devices. Please open a node near Langley for those poor DC metro area folk. So, Livendi, if you actually go to the East VPN and you put a location test on it using my location test, it will end up in Maryland. Okay? It will end up in Maryland. How many bytes VPN users are there? Donnie? No, that's not something you publicize, Donnie. That's not healthy. So that, yeah. So it's not located there, but the IP address says you're in Maryland. It's actually not located there. The servers on the East are actually it's outside of New York City. They're outside New York. So they're in, little bit more off the city. So just a little bit more up the freeway there. Okay, so don't know the area, but so go upstate. I had a VPN that appeared to be from China. That's not good, actually. Hey, I thought the server for the East were in Tampa. Livendi, the one in LA says you're in Tampa. If you go to the LA server, sometimes it will say you're in Tampa, sometimes it will say you're in LA. So yeah, they're all tricky. Ask you. So what were we asking you, Kelp, about Maryland? What? Ask you about your connection with law enforcement? Is that what we're going to ask you? Anyway, back to the topic. We're talking about everything to do with alternate communications and starting with ham radio and going to more advanced things that are going to be fun. Okay, so we're not even there yet. So ham radio. So this one is able to talk. Typically with 5 to 10 miles, depending on the wattage. This can transmit to 8 watts. This can. He's your neighbor, Kelp. This can transmit up to 8 watts. At 8 watts, you can reach a faraway repeater, and the repeaters is where people in the centimeter band hang out at. So nobody really talks to each other directly. So in a big city, you're normally talking to repeaters. So instead of talking direct, that makes it really portable because these things are all used to transmit to a repeater. The repeater is on the top of a mountain somewhere, and then you can reach everyone very, very far away. I can reach people 100 miles away on this little radio using a repeater. And there's like tons of repeaters, and you find a repeater nearer to you. And some repeaters transmit to other repeaters, so they're actually transmitting in a wide area. Now, the thing about a ham radio, though, is every time you use this, you have to identify yourself with your call sign. And like I said, you need a license. Okay, you need the first level license, which is called technician license. And you have to identify yourself with a call sign. So, it's typically 5-6 digits, and you have to announce that every time you talk and every 10 minutes. So you're not anonymous. Okay, so the FCC, let's say you're swearing all the time on this, as I hear a lot of swearing going on, a lot of zucking this and zucking that all day, and it's like that's actually not legal according to the FCC. That's not legal. Now, they announced their call sign. So, in theory, you could say, hey, all those guys who keep swearing, they can swear on CB radio, but they're not supposed to swear on. You're not supposed to say Zuck on ham radio because you're licensed. So, in theory, somebody could record you speaking with your call sign, send it to the FCC, and in theory, they will revoke your license. Or, in theory, the FCC or the NSA or somebody else is always listening, because that's what Simon Pickup was saying, that some government entity is always listening on all channels and then doing mass surveillance of that. And there's still CB, Mario. They do mass surveillance of that, in which case then they will cancel your license. Okay, now, let me just explain this. I haven't seen anyone get blasted for doing those kinds of infractions on ham radio. I hear them swear all the time, and it's like no one seems to be complaining about it. So it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. So my conclusion is, no, there is no mass monitoring going on ham radio. If there were, then they'd be off the air. So you can't do alcohol and radio, zucking kelp, because you have to announce your call sign. That's true, Jay. Only geriatrics are listening, but they're zucking swearing even if they're geriatric. Okay? So they're still zucking swearing on this. So they're saying, zuck you, mother zucker. You should see some of the discussions on ham radio. It's hello, Simon. And I was just talking about Simon, and there he shows up. You should see the discussion. Good reason not to do ham radio is what? The call sign? Well, stay on the internet where you're tracked more. Use somebody else's call sign? uh, yeah, I guess you could I suppose use a fake call sign and no one would know any better. So I suppose you could do that. I'm not going to suggest that kind of illegal activity, but I suppose it is possible to do. That definitely a possibility. There would be no restriction on doing that. So NBBZD, N8BZD. That sounds like an authentic call sign, Jay Colby. That sounds like an authentic call sign. So anyway, uh, Simon Pickup was saying that, hey, they must be doing mass surveillance in the radio. But if that was the case, then somebody would be reporting all these, people using bad language, which is against the regulations of using ham radio. And in theory, then that should get your license revoked. And they're like, I'm hearing it like, 50 times from the same person and it doesn't seem to be a problem. So I'm guessing nobody fucking cares. Nobody listens to ham radio, which is great. I don't believe there's mass surveillance on ham radio. I don't think they care. That is my belief. I don't think they care. They think, who's going to go here? No sucking terrorist is going to go on ham radio. Ham radio, you have to register your name, your address, everything. How many channels are on there on ham radio? Tons. If you have a general license, you can millions. And see, not listening on ham radio. Yeah, so I don't think they're doing mass surveillance. They just want your fee. The fee actually goes to a volunteer organization. So I'm not sure what portion goes to the FCC. The application license is $15, but the law is there when they want to enforce it. Yes, Mr. Law Enforcement, there's Kelp. Kelp must be the law enforcement person in Maryland. He gets on the radio and says, I heard him say a bad word. I'm going to record that and send it to the FCC. So he's probably the whistleblower for ham radio right there. Kelp, the whistleblower for ham radio. Everybody says a ducking bad word. He does it. He's the one reporting you. So that's for short range. Now, let me just tell you, though, about ham radio. Let's say I want to talk to Simon Pickup, and Simon Pickup is in Europe. So Simon Pickup is in Europe. So how do I talk to Simon Pickup with a radio? Well, not with this. This is not, although you occasionally hear somebody on this using repeaters, this is not intended for that kind of long distance. This is regional. So this is a regional phone, ham radio. It's actually the communication method of voice. It's called phone. Okay, ham radios are appreciated in emergencies and search and rescue. Yes, Greg Robb. So this is for regional. So if there's a local emergency, this is great. So if you have a you need an for, I'll tell you about that, but this one just requires a repeater. There's voluntary repeaters all over the place. So you don't have to pay for anything. It's not your base station you have to worry about with these. Just make sure the battery's charged and all set. So one thing about ham radio that's very, very interesting is that if all electricity goes down, if let's say there's an EMP. Let's say there's an EMP. Well, repeaters will probably go down in an EMP, but let's say the internet goes down and all phone networks go down. Let's say the internet goes down. Okay? Well, nothing really affects this. This is straight to the air. So preppers love this. This is like, any preppers in here? The preppers are likely going to be, doing ham radio. So, which is, I put that in the title because that's kind of important because ham radio, you're up in the mountains there and zombies are coming and you can talk to people on ham radio. And all you have to do is charge it with, charge the battery. And how do you charge the battery? Solar! Get a fucking solar thing and you can charge this. Most ham operators are Storm Watchers too. So is Storm Brothers Media a ham operator? Our buddy Storm Brothers Media? Are you a radio operator too, Storm Brothers Media? So charge it with a hello Tinkerball. So just charge it with a solar. Now Tinkerball sits in New York City. He's not gonna have solar over there. Solar will only take a week to charge. I think full charge on solar is like a couple hours. You're like Kelp is in the old ages. He's thinking of it like miniature like solar things. He doesn't know that you put solar panels in your roof and you can power your house forever. With storm and lose power, it still work. Yes. So as long as there's sunlight, you can even recharge it with give me solar or give me death. Okay, with sunlight, you can keep just recharging this, and so if you store it in part of your what do you call that? The bag, the bag that you uh, take was a prepper if the zombies come. The grab bag. What do you call the grab bag thing? I forget. I'm not into the. I forget all the prepper terminology, but so yeah, solar tiles can power a whole house. Bug out bag, bug out the bug out bag. Oh, we got some preppers in here. The bug out bag, yes. So you put this in a bug out bag with a charger. And what is the purpose of a sucking phone? What's a cell phone gonna do to you in an emergency? Useless. Cell phone isn't gonna work. This works. Bug out bag. That's what it's called, Twin Mom. Go bag. Not a go bag. Bug out bag. Yes. Cell phones are useless. 5G, what's 5G going to do for you with all this beam forming? Beam sucking form and nothing when the internet goes down. This one works all the time. When you bug out, you need a phone that works. That's why you don't need a phone. You need one of these. So these can communicate. Goes 8 watts, so it can go pretty far. It's line of sight though, but it can go 50 miles. Bug out bag. Yeah, bug out was NAM era. Unless you have a gets number. What the zuck is a gets number? So satellite phone. How is a satellite gonna work? There's no network. Satellite phones go through the network for the satellite company, which are in essence the cell company. There's not going to be cell company. They're going to be overrun by zombies. There's no encryption. That's a good point to mention. Anti-Ang ham radio in the entire world is never encrypted. You're not allowed to encrypt ham radio. No encryption on ham radio. But again, you actually have to balance it out. You're identifying yourself on this, but nobody's doing mass databases and mass surveillance and all that. And yet you compare it to the internet, and you may use a handle, but they got your IP address, and you got your browser fingerprint, and they know more. No matter what you do, every step you take with your zucking your spy brick tracks you in so many million ways. This one can only be tracked with a direction finder only when you hit the transmit button, and even then, somebody will have to have radio finding equipment. If you're transmitting at a repeater, that's not so simple because the repeater signal is not your signal. No one thought they were doing what the zuck are you talking about, Kelp? Alleged? That's alleged that they're spying on you? Okay, Kelp. Have fun with that. So that's why I introduced this as you might say that why should I talk about this? Because nothing is encrypted. But you see, back in the old days when you were using a cell phone in your car with the big antenna and the big transceiver in the trunk, for a $2,000 piece of equipment in your car back in the day, there was no mass surveillance either. You see, what's changed here is that when you put everything into a central database and then somebody sells your information, like all of your movements and what coffee you're buying and what porn you're watching, is that available in your store? Which one? This? No. This, I'll give you a link. It's on Amazon. These kinds of things, you really need to use it. You won't be needing it. That's correct. But even if you don't need encryption, I mean, it's free thought here. I was listening to this, and let me just tell you that people who have been talking on ham radio feel like they feel free. They can say anything they want. Nobody's gonna censor them. No one can censor you unless you say bad words, and somebody doesn't want that. But no one can censor ideas on ham radio, which is really fascinating. So there's a little bit of some political diatribes at some hours, where some people are, talking about their political opinions on this, and nobody's there to stop you. None. So that's kind of neat, because in today's world, there's always like, oh, we can't listen to that. You feel very censored. It's the advertiser. The advertiser, yes, Kelp. Okay. Is Axiom, Intellius, and Spokio in the advertising business? They're selling your sucking data. Oh, we're in the advertising business. What sucking advertising you're talking about? You're selling it to my employer? You're selling it to my employer, and that's sucking advertising? No, that's people needing your data so they can manipulate you. Yes, Cambridge Analytica. Oh my gosh, Kelp, you're like a little child. You're like, your understanding of the world around you is like a kid's view. Okay, now we're not there yet. Where I'm only on the upper frequencies. So as you go into lower frequencies, one of the things about going to lower frequencies is that, and you need a different kind of equipment for this. Okay, you need a different kind of equipment to go to the lower frequencies. The lower frequencies actually are able to skip through the atmosphere, and you can communicate with anyone around the world. You can communicate with, apparently you think that it's a conspiracy that they collect your data, Kelp. It's not a fucking conspiracy that they collect your data. It's just fact. It's just fact, Kelp. There's no conspiracy about it. It's just everyday truth. They are collecting your data. It's not a fucking conspiracy. Levendi Grinder is a gay dating app, and where you have to state your HIV status, and they publicly have that. Okay. So the best thing you can do if it's trying to track you is to get a YouTube channel. You Salt Lakers, I'll teach you a word. It's called disinformation. Learn about that word, disinformation. I'm gonna progress to. Actually, I'll skip to the more exciting. I know Tinkerbell. The point is that when you put it in, it's there, and somebody downloads that, and there's an actual database of people with their real names on it and their HIV status. It's crazy. And to Kelp is like, Rob says that's a conspiracy. It's not a fucking conspiracy. It's reality. Okay, so the internet tracking is a reality. Ham tracking is not a reality. Okay, ham tracking is not a reality. They don't have. This is not digital. It's not easy to do that. There's no social media platforms to do it and so on. So what are my other ideas? So this is one. Thank you, Twin Mom, for guiding me. This is one. I'm gonna skip to the most interesting part here. There's a capability to make your own private sucking internet. You can come up with your own private internet. This is so. I don't know. In order to use this properly, you almost have to have a bunch of people that agree to do this. In a big way, and to make it truly regional, and have somebody say, okay, we'll form our own net, and maybe we have a Brax net, and then you connect your whole country with it. Yes, I'm going to tell you about this. This is fascinating. But this can only be used by people with a license. Now, this is one of the benefits of having a ham license. You can do this. Zucker invented the device to help his wife breathe. What is this? I don't know, big kahuna. What is this? I don't know what device that is. Okay, so what I'm talking about is called a HamNet. A HamNet, which is the specific one that shares its source code. Is called AREDN, or Amateur Radio Emergency Data Network. Amateur Radio Emergency Data Network, which is also, you'll find references to AREDN mesh. Okay? Yeah, mesh. So, now what is this? Yeah, HamNet, there's many, many names for it. Okay? You just got the HamNet boxer briefs. Love the HamNet. This is really fascinating, guys. It's really fascinating. I'm going to be researching this a lot, okay? There are limitations to it, however, but maybe some of those limitations can be overcome, okay? This thing is interesting because the device is used for communicating on the HamNet, and by the way, the HamNet can connect devices 10 miles away. Or, no, 10 to 15 kilometers away. Standard. Although you can increase the signal. Okay? But the standard device can talk. No, this one does not need a whip antenna. The standard device will talk within 13 kilometers. No, Twin Mom, no. It's a network. It's a network. So just to give you an idea, I'm not going to tell you my call sign Note X. A lot of power. No, and it operates in the Wi-Fi range. It's basically operating at 2.4 gigahertz, the same as you're sucking Wi-Fi. When you use Wi-Fi, you're limited to about 100 yards or so. That's 1 watt limit maximum on your Wi-Fi router. What's my social security number? 999-222-4444. When you use your Wi-Fi routers, okay. When you use your Wi-Fi routers, you're transmitting at 2.4 gigahertz, which is the same frequency as your microwave. Okay, it's also the same frequency as Bluetooth, which is short distance. Take my credit card number? Sure. Yes, that was 444, the 44 at the end. That's too many numbers. Too many numbers, Tinkerballs. Okay, certified win is the first day in Periscope. Stormy 69 gonna be my call. Okay, no, you don't decide your format of the call. That is not a properly formatted call sign. So you can't have that. That you can only make your own call sign, your handle in CB. In ham radio, they give it to you, so you don't have a choice. Okay, so anyway. What I'm talking about here is a private sucking internet. This is awesome. Let's say you're a prepping community. Let's say you're a prepping community. So you're a bunch of preppers, and you live in the mountains, and you live, I don't know, 5 miles apart in the hills of West Virginia somewhere. Okay, so you're in the hills of West Virginia. Now, would you like to have a high-speed LAN, local area network, high speed? And when I'm meaning high speed, I mean 50 megabits per second, kind of like your normal Wi-Fi at home. Would you like that? Would you like to have an internet that goes 50 megabits per second and you're communicating with people where you can send live video? I'm a prepper. I have at least 1 can of beans in my cabin to watch Netflix. You can't connect to Netflix, but you can't connect to Netflix. But you can have live video of somebody, some in your net, and you can actually connect to devices. So what is interesting about this is the way they do this is they use a standard Wi-Fi router, like a Linksys, one of those. My Netflix bill won't chill. Like a Linksys router, and then you just put a bigger antenna on it, and you load this new software, which is like a variation of OpenWRT, like a DDWRT that's specially made for this. So it's special router software, and then it turns it into a AREDN network. And if depending on how you name it, it will connect to any automatically. You don't have to do anything. It will connect to any router with the same net name. So all you have to do is put it up high on a pole, and they actually sell an external model of this for something called AirMax that doesn't even need any antennas. It's already built in for cheap, like $75. You buy this device, $75. Okay, you attach a Ethernet cable to it, run the Ethernet cable to your house. You can even pass it through another Wi-Fi router, so you can share the signal in your house, and then this thing will then automatically look around for a router with the same name in like a 10-kilometer zone. So if a bunch of people have this device, you can actually have a net. This is cheap stuff because there's this common equipment. It's just a Wi-Fi router, but you need a license for this. You need a license, so you need a ham license. Yes, it's a private network. You need a license. Now, if you have a license, let's say your family is. Let's say your family's spread in the city, and some are 10 miles away, some are 5 miles away, and so on. You could actually give them this device, attach it to their roof, and you will all be in a local area network. So you can actually have cameras and everything. If you have a house and if you have a cabin in the mountains, some miles away, you can actually hook up to directly. No, it's data, Twin Mom. It's zucking data. It's like a local area network. It's a local area network. And it can be routed to the internet, but there's a few tricks for that. You have to know a little bit of routing. I could probably do it, but the average person probably not going to know how to route it to the internet. But so you can have your own private network, or you can even have, let's say, I'll give you an example used for this. Let's say you have kind of a big lot. It's data, period. It's internet. It's internet-like. Okay, it's data. Harrison Ford, will it be affected by what? No. So the only thing you have to worry about is that it has to depending on the model, the range is dependent on what the wattage is of the device. So some of them are pretty big, more expensive transmitters, and the cheap ones are automatically going to reach 10 kilometers, 10 to it's private in the sense that it's your own, yes, but it's somewhat private because you're running it like Wi-Fi, so it's somewhat private, but it's still airwaves. So in theory, somebody could hack a Wi-Fi router, so they could hack it just like any other Wi-Fi router. Okay, EMP bomb hits ham will be key. Yes, Sir Cal. So where's your ham radio? So this is why this is so interesting, is because I was just thinking about it. Even if you didn't have that kind of interest in mind, let's just give you another scenario. Give you another scenario. You have a big lot, like somebody like Sir Cal, who has probably has a big property. Okay, and maybe you're in a farm, just a big property, with lots of land, and you have a barn in one part of the house. And how do you get internet all over the place? So you can actually, let's say you want to put a camera. Let's say your barn is, you know, 300 yards away, and then you want to put a surveillance camera. You want to put a surveillance. This is not a mesh router in the sense of Wi-Fi, John. This is a special thing. This is allowed only for ham radio operators. So I thought it would be boring, Twin Mom. I didn't think people would be interested in such a thing. So anyway, you can put a one of these Wi-Fi router type devices on the barn 300 yards away, or even 10 miles away. It doesn't really matter where you want to put it. The distance doesn't matter as long as the radio reaches it. And then you can be talking in Wi-Fi range, 2.4 gigahertz. So you can access a camera, IP camera. You can do whatever you need to do on the internet. Well, not internet because it's local. So you can talk computer to computer, do voice over IP, whatever you do on the internet, whatever you can do on your local air network, you can do. You can connect with your cows, of course. Yes. Neural chips are better. You want to monitor the pig trap? Does it have a password? Yes, because it uses WEP like any normal router. I don't think you're allowed to. You see, the problem with the ham radios, you're not allowed to encrypt. But it's somewhat encrypted because you'd have to make an effort to break into that traffic because it's like a local net, and it looks like normal Wi-Fi. So it's not like it's. See, the thing about the internet is accessible to everyone, even from far away. A local net is not really accessible unless the person trying to hack you is next to you. What is powering your Wi-Fi in a barn? Hopefully ET bug electricity, or if not, solar. Put a solar panel on there, charging a battery, and there you go. You don't need a lot of power. I mean, it's just a Wi-Fi router. Put a Wi-Fi router on there, and even small children access the internet. Well, and you talk about like this is a good thing. This is just interesting because just to do a theoretical here. Let's say you have a big city. Let's say you have a big city, and people said, "Okay, we're sick and tired of the our government here. We want to form our own internet." Could you do that? Yeah. You put up these devices, and if you have enough of them, you have a net. Because as long as you use the same name, you're part of one net. That's all you have to worry about. Have the same name, and the routers take care of that. They match each other just by knowing, are you the same name as my network? The SSID has to be the same. So it's like your Wi-Fi has a different name, right, for your home. Well, here you just name it the same, and then it connects it. Then their big net will destroy your tiny net. They're not connected. The big net is not connected to the tiny net. Send those kids out to work in the chimney, stop playing on the internet. So, do you understand how, I'm theorizing, what this could be used for. It can even be used in a simple way to connect one part of your house to the other part of the house. Because some of you have a problem with, getting a signal from even a camera that's, in the garage, trying to reach the other part of the house, and with a lot of wiring. And this one actually doesn't need that, but you do need a license. Will I get banned by my ISP for downloading the new Avengers movie? Zuck Goobalute, you will be tracked. You have Vietnamese lips. What are Vietnamese lips? So we get around federal government with ham radios. We get around. Is that your only problem, Kelp? The federal government? No, you don't get around the federal government with ham radios. You get away from Zuckbook and Google and Axiom, Spokio, Intellius, and all of the other people that sell your data. Yes, you can get away from all of them. Now, will you get away from will you get away from the federal government? They can obviously, if they wanted to, they can go track you down. Yes. How much is a Fed license? A Fed license? You mean a ham license? It's $15. Facebook is the way to track your exits. There you go, Goobaloot. So everyone uses SID Brax Ham. Yes, we can't send. This is something I can work on, Simon. Could we make a gateway for those indifferent? Could we make a Brax HamNet, and then where there's no repeater or way to transverse oceans, for example, we use the internet as a bridge. That's lifetime $15 for 10 years. Bragg Chan. Have you seen any material on Donald Trump and time travel? Uh, you're saying that Donald Trump is from the past or from the future. Intel buys into a AI chip that can transfer data 1,000 times faster. So anyway, this is very interesting in the sense that with these Wi-Fi devices, part of the HamNet, and can only be used by people with a license, you can actually transmit at great distances through a relay at internet type speeds. So 50 megabits per second, whatever the typical speed of the router is. Whatever typical speed of a router is, you can do that over 100 miles. Yes, many twin mom. It's been around. It's kind of been an experimental stage for since like 2011, and if I buy the equipment for it, which is not expensive, I can demonstrate how it's used. For example, to set up a telephone, your own private, like your own private line. So, for example, your hotline. Let's say you have two homes many miles apart. You can put an internet connection between the two of them. I mean, a line connection using the HamNet. Have a telephone voice over IP phone. Dial the extension, and you're there. And you're not going over the internet, and you're not paying anyone for service. You're not going to the phone company. You're not going to anyone. You're not paying anyone anything. These are like interesting concepts in that they're kind of when there's no controlling party, it just changes the equation because there's no one to steal your data and make a living off your data. See, that's the thing about ham radios. Ham radios, even though you might say, well, ham radio is open, you're publishing your name, but the thing is, there's no one there to monetize over you. They can't monetize on you, and when they can't monetize on you, then there's no tracking. So the reason for all the tracking is monetization. If there's a zombie apocalypse, can you DM me your address? Yes. If there's a zombie apocalypse, I'll mark down your. I'll keep a record of your call sign and put it in a book, and then I'll contact you all over the world. Quality of the sound, it's digital, twin mom, so obviously it's like talking on the internet, digital. So meaning it's the same as, for example, you can put a video, but it's digital, it's not audio. So it's obviously as clear as can be. It's like talking on Skype. You can kind of make your own version of Skype on this. So you can make an app that talks between these two. Any app that talks on a local LAN can use this. So the only thing is you need a gateway to the internet, and that's where it gets sticky. This is where this gets sticky. If you go to the internet, there's a restriction here if you can go to HTTPS sites, because this is a part of the regulation that's not clear, and there's a lot of arguments about this, because the idea is that you cannot do encryption over ham radio. You cannot do encryption over ham radio. Now, there's some other interpretations of this. Run it through Tor. You cannot have Tor on ham radio. But you don't need to, because there's no mass collection. It's one of the forms of communication that no one wants to invest time in, because, as some of you said, only the geriatrics are on ham radio. So you say, well, we don't really care about them, so we're not going to spend time tracking them. This is a fascinating technology, because you're kind of independent. Now there's another way. Skipping through this now, there's another way that it's kind of slow, but you can actually talk with email with anyone around the world using the lower bands. I'm talking 60-meter band, and you need expensive transceivers. Now these are very expensive. The ones that can do propagation over the atmosphere. You can send email from a boat, for example. If you're in the middle of the ocean, you talk on ham radio. You can send your signal from your boat. It will go up into the sky and propagate through the atmosphere. It will be a very weak signal, but you could actually send email all over the world. It's very slow. Exactly not worth the data, because they can't monetize. Anytime that there's not a monetization platform, we actually start to get safer. Kelp is always worried about federal tracking, and even the federal government is not really even an issue. Would my ham radio receiver work in another network in another state? They're all the same, Angel. Ham radio, like this ham radio, works anywhere. You just have to know what the local repeaters are. It works anywhere. You can buy one of these, Angel, for $25. $25. Tinker, maybe I think the way I do because I've been eating microwave food. Yeah, Sir Kelp, Kelp is like saying we should never hide from the federal government. And, even if you're not doing anything wrong, you shouldn't hide from the federal government. And, yes, Angel, that's correct. It's not registered. It's a test. You pay $15 to get to take the test, and then you get your license for 10 years. Yes, you can, Big Kahuna, but you need a much bigger transmitter. Yes, you need a much bigger transmitter. The opposite of federal tracking. Yeah, federal tracking, may or may not be an issue, but to me, it's actually not even the big part of the issue. The tracking for commercial purposes. By the way, this comes with a flashlight. How do you turn on the flashlight? I know one of these switches turn on the flashlight. Power was off. Where's the flashlight? Flashlight mode. There. If you get lost, you can use the flashlight. If you get lost you're holding this and you get lost in the woods, then you can use the flashlight. The government thinks they're so smart to collect all the data, but they're too stupid to know what to do with it. There you go, Salt Lakers. That is quite true. Ready for a power outage. Ham radio sounds like a fun alternative. Well, certainly you can you need this kind of radio will not talk to the mainland from Hawaii, Angel. You need the bigger units. You need a different frequency. So the lower channels are long range because they propagate over the atmosphere. We're talking 10-meter bands, I'm sorry, 60 meters, that range, 30-meter bands. Those are the ones that propagate over the world. Lost in the woods in Midtown. That would be useful. Yes. What would they do with all my data? I need to know. They already know what to do with your zucking data. Okay, they're monetizing on your zucking data. So I don't know about you guys. Do you like Kelp apparently doesn't mind that third parties collect all of his movements and then sell that information. So if Kelp ever runs for president, they're going to say, well, we have a record of every place you've ever been to. Michiharu, yes. Alexa, listen to you. The microwave doesn't. Yes, who, Danny? Is that Danny? Who, Danny, who? Woo-hoo. Who, Danny, who? Yeah, it's if you I mind, but the greater good, you mind, but the greater, what is the greater good of Facebook tracking you, Kelp? Could you I'm gonna wait, Kelp. What is the greater good of Facebook tracking you and selling it? The deep state notes, Tinkerballs. So Kelp, I'm waiting. What is the greater good of Facebook tracking you? Could you just explain that to me, or Google tracking you? What is the that's what I'm talking about, Kelp, because you have a very narrow idea of what privacy is all about. Extremely narrow. To you, privacy is about privacy from the government. I'm not going to tell you my call sign, Sour Shoes. But I ought to, make a list here of all the call signs I've learned from this. I'm going to run the replay and get all the call signs. So I don't understand. So Kelp just doesn't get it. Kelp doesn't get it. It's like, who's the adversary? Is the adversary just the federal government? Sometimes it is. Most of the time, it isn't. Okay? It's when they abuse it that it gets to be a problem. The federal government is the least of my concerns. They're really not the main problem. The problem is that your personal movements are being sold. And a lot of you are saying, we don't care. We don't care. Kelp says we don't care that your personal movements, your personal tastes, your all of your habits. I'm waiting on my royalty check from all the people using my data. Still waiting. So it's like this is why in ham radio, yes, the federal government, in theory, in ham radio, the federal government can, in theory, track you, but they're not really the issue, are they? Facebook isn't on ham radio. The young millennials are going to say, well, we don't want any zucking ham radios. That's, we want to use our zucking iPhones or we're tracked with your spy bricks. So the millennials want the spy brick. Okay, they can have the spy brick. Don't have much to do with those who I have nothing to hide. Rob gets me so paranoid. It's very simple. Okay, Tinker, there's somebody that tracks your every move, and it's commercial company. It's commercial. It's not government. It's commercial. Everyone in the world, their movements, their internet activities, and what they do, their likes, dislikes, all of that is kept in many big databases. Okay, commercial. It's sold. It can be accessed by government as well as private parties and for a fee, and it's available. So it's extremely detailed. So the question is, I'm asking you, do you like that? So if you like that, then stick with the majority of the millennials on the spy brick. For guys like me, I'm like saying I'd like to look for alternatives, so that I have less. I want to have the ability to communicate, but can I communicate without, needing to needing a spy brick. Don't like that they're tracking, but no matter what you do, they'll always find a way to track you. Yes, but totally, Walter, the question is who's doing the tracking? Is it the federal government doing the tracking or commercial entities, which are much bigger and many? I'm training an owl. There are many more in private enterprise doing tracking than there are in the NSA. Okay, so it's many, many multiples. Many, many, many multiples. Then don't buy from Amazon. 190 Mercedes powers barn if electric goes out. I have a 190E Mercedes. I don't have a D. I have a 190E Mercedes. It's still running. Still running, Sir Calb. It's kind of falling apart, but it's still running. Runs well. The engine still runs very, very well. It's very, very well running engine, but the little things are falling apart. Little things like, damage here and there, and it's getting more expensive to fix because you can't get the parts. Useless things, like switches and little things like that. But as far as actually running, no problem. It still runs. So what room are you in? You're in the first floor. Who, Danny? Who? You waiting on Tesla? Brax me list parts. Pondering my Amazon Prime membership mix. Okay, so that's a difference. The alternative technologies that I'm talking about are different in that even though they're open communication methods, they're kind of like, snail mail. Snail mail is pretty open. You put stamp in, everyone can see that you got it. But it's just not subject to the instant database tracking that happens in the internet, because the medium is just made, because everything is digital. Everything's made to be tracked, automatically. Whereas if you use a ham radio as an example, and again, note the difference. This is a combination of hardware and software. The hardware is not easily tracked because it's sound. It's kind of like a fax machine. Do you know that one of the most secure ways to send data is by fax? Did you know that one of the most secure ways to send data is by fax? Did you know that you're actually legally allowed to send fax data through a ham radio connection? And the reason is it's not encrypted. Fax is not encrypted, but because it's not digital, it's analog. It's do a live test with that ham radio. Or what? Announce my call sign note. You want me to announce my call sign here? Huge problem to the post office, UPS, or analog. So analog signals, have a direct problem with being translated because this is all audio, and there's a problem translating audio to something that the internet can store. It's not efficiently handled. Just to prove to you, that the speed of typing text on using a protocol called AREDN is like 45 baud, meaning you're typing as fast as a manual typist. That's how fast the connection is, like manually typing. That's it. See, no one would want to do any mass surveillance of that. It's kind of pointless. It's too slow. Not a lot of data. So use a voice changer when using ham. It doesn't matter. Why would you use a voice changer, Sir Calb? You're announcing your call sign. Should I get my dot Patrick out of the garage? No, get your old fax machine out and see if you can take those sound signals in the fax machine and send it through ham radio. I got to go research how to do that, because you still need to use the call sign. Yes, the call sign will identify you. You really can't obscure who you are, because they can just check your call sign and check the FCC database and say, oh, Sir Calb is actually Stormy's lawyer, Avenatti. Sir Calb is like tricking us here and calling himself Sir Calb Stormy, and yet he's actually Stormy's lawyer. So the United States Postal Service takes a picture of every piece of mail. exactly, Salt Lakers. So we know that mail itself is open and so on, but it's just not passed through the same kind of mass data collection as it is when you do location. Because, for example, you're using these radios, right? No one's recording your actual location with these. How can they? You'd need like a massive amount of direction finders to find every single one of these because signals are bouncing off whatever. You need to triangulate and chase the person using the. So your locations can't even be identified with this. And my certainly my license does not have my home address on it. It's PO box, which is what I recommend. Use a PO box for your license. Bills are getting bigger. Triangulate. Yeah, you can't triangulate. Chief Tor, how are you doing, my friend? You can't triangulate this, like you can with a phone. A phone is triangulating you, with the. So now you're gonna bicycle delivery letters with ham radio in your pocket. No kelp. Just stick to Facebook. Why don't you do it like my brother? What does he do? Let me send you the bank account numbers on Facebook Messenger. We'll put the bank account numbers in there. Okay, smart. Or why don't you do it on Twitter DM? Some of you people are just not thinking. It's like, somebody's making it, and people say it's not true. They're not making these databases. It's like, news after news report is telling you what the databases are being used for. Ham can be trained by other operators. So, Chief, how are you going to store that in a central database? Are you saying that people are storing that information in central databases every time you hit push to talk? Chief, it's not something that's been a subject of big data collection. Of course, it can be done. My point is that just like you announce your call sign on here, it's just immune from the mass data collection that they sell. It's just immune from that because the infrastructure isn't there. You're kind of hiding in plain sight. Now, this is the hiding in plain sight that Kelp was talking about. But Kelp doesn't understand this. This is really hiding in plain sight. You're in plain sight, no big deal, but there's no mass data collection. You can't guess my call sign because I don't make the call sign. It's whatever the FCC makes. The FCC makes the call sign. You don't. So it's not like you get a choice. We used to do pirate radio back in the day. You can use FMRS radio. It's a narrow band in the what range is that? It's not in the 200 something megahertz, and family radio does not require license, and you can talk about whatever you want. You don't need to announce anything, and yeah, you can use that, but it's short range. I think it only works within like a mile, so you can use that. That doesn't require anything. There's no. Your son is a prepper. I sent him your link. He bought me a ham radio for your birthday. Yeah, but what he needs to do is get you an AREDN HamNet. Tell him that Juju say I'm done with a ham radio. I want a HamNet. 200 hertz is FM. Yeah, that's FM. AM is lower. That's 200 megahertz. AM is 500 kilohertz to one around near 1 megahertz. One. This is 200. These preppers are like people with a dozen cats. What? Preppers are wild. Who needs 400 pounds of canned peaches? Well, One day you'll be hungry and the preppers will have the food. So, do you guys even have water in your house? Do you have like those water storage? I mean, just basics like that. What happens if the internet goes down? What happens when there's no electricity? Can happen. That's transformer blows up. Whatever. What happens then? How do you communicate? No cell phone, no power, no internet. Guess what? If you have a HamNet and you have a battery power, you can actually still connect to each other. People will resume their lives. Also, they will have plenty of toilet paper. One half the people will kill each other in 4 weeks. That's a theory, Sir Calp. So that's why preppers also have this. Juju, your son is a prepper. Does he have various devices like this as well? Prepper stuff right here. I'm not a prepper, but it does interest me. Just because it's like it's a fair thing to do that, to think about it, just because I like reading zombie books. I love reading zombie books. This SHTF situations. I love it. It's fun. Fun. Are you doing field day, or is that what you practice on field day? Better be prepared or not. Are you a prepper, Sir Cal? The FCZ tracked you down a couple times. What have you been doing, who Danny who? Who do you categorize it? Who do you what? I read them then too, but not in real life. What does that mean? Okay, I'm gonna have to backtrack here. Try to understand what you just said there. Preppers are wild. You mean the zombie books? Yes. Yeah, but it's fun. When you're at the shooting range and you're popping those targets, you got to imagine something. So the best thing to imagine is a zombie. Zombie land. Hello, Mitch. How are you doing, Mitch? Yeah, zombie land. So, but you're at the shooting range and it's like with your rifle, and you're aiming for that, and you say, "What are you aiming for?" I don't want to shoot people. So zombies, got to look for zombies. So there, go shoot some zombies. You hear that? That probably doesn't sound very loud on this. It's like like just a little click, right? Does it actually sound like anything on there? But the blowback is awesome. It's like a real deal. Another zombie hits the dust. Bill Murray was not the zombie on Zombieland, the movie. Yes, John. I watched that movie. I'll keep a few cases more for you. Okay. Yes. Apparently, some people were questioning, some preppers on ham radio saying, "Well, I just bought another couple thousand rounds of 30-30. Just bought a couple thousand rounds of 30-30. How about you? What Oh yeah, I got myself a case of 5.56, and they're just talking about that on ham radio with their call signs. Ooh, we know exactly who has the ammo. MRE will they be gluten free? No, probably not. Flamethrowers are in. You're back. Why are you back? I came across 3 SUVs in a McDonald's with cell phone tracking technology. In the middle of Salt Lake City, they were actively listening to phone calls. Didn't care they were actively listening to phone calls. They didn't care that I was watching. I don't understand. What do you mean they're actively listening to phone calls? You mean they were listening to cell traffic? Is that what you're talking about? Uh, Cell traffic in the middle of the desert. How does it have the range? I have a device that can listen to cell traffic. Is this? This is a uh, transceiver with two transmit to receive channels from I forget the lower end of the frequency, but somewhere in the low kilohertz, all the way to 6 gigahertz. So this reaches all the way past Wi-Fi, and you can do jamming. You can jam signals with this and listen in and create your own cell tower. Create a simulated stingray. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can do with this. So I got it. And in my experimentation, you have to use some of the frequencies that are require license. So that's one of the reasons I got a license, was to make sure I can test this. Testing only, not for actual use, but just to test it. So if you understand how it works, then it's a lot you can figure out. Great. I need a cell phone jammer for what I'm driving in Friday rush hour traffic with a 6-mile radius. Yeah. You could do that. You could put an amplifier. You can put this in your car, then have an amplifier to amplify the signal. Put the antenna on your roof, and send a jamming signal. Depending on the power of your amplifier, you can jam cell traffic. Cell traffic is in a very narrow range. You want to see where cell traffic is? Here. Somewhere in this video, you'll see cell traffic. We love the word stuff. Yeah, stuff. Yeah, somewhere in this is in the 70 centimeter band right now, 400 some megahertz, which is that's FM radio. What you're looking at. I mean, it's fascinating if you understand what I'm looking at. You have a spectrum scanner. You can see all the transmissions, and you can also see if it's going to kill you. Because some people say, "Oh, look at all those RF frequencies; they're going to kill me." Well, you're being exposed to all that right now. They're all over the air, including sunlight. So 147 it used to be worse than the worst. 147.435 in LA used to be worse than the worst. CB. Let me see. I think I got 147.435 in here. Let me. What 447 point. Oops, there. 435. I don't have 435 in my on this one here. 447, 435. Really? Is it still active now? Oh, 147. Sorry, this doesn't reach 147. Yeah, I'd have to listen to this. This will listen to 147. This can listen to anything. So this I can listen to 147, but on this one I cannot. So yeah, here I'm listening to 128. 128 is air traffic control. So I'm not. By the way, I'm not broadcasting tomorrow because I have something to do. I'm not broadcasting tomorrow, so I'll make you a video. I want to just turn this into video so you see all the different frequencies like this. So you see what's going on around you. This is important to know because, it's part of how your data is transmitted all around. You ought to know what's going on, how's Wi-Fi being used, how cell towers being used, how much for the jamming device. I'm not going to teach you how to make that jamming device, but you can buy a cheaper one than this. You can use Hack RF1, which is cheaper. This is more expensive. This is almost double that. Hack RF1, I believe, is 320 bucks. Okay. Hack RF1 can be used to do stuff like that, but you still need to amplify the signal. That's not as sophisticated as this. This one is a Hack RF1 is spelled O-N-E, not Hack RF is one word, and then one is O-N-E. This one is a Blade. This one is a Blade RF micro. Take down the mini screen. Why? 5 years for the jamming device. Yes, that is illegal to jam. Yeah. Only 5 years for jamming? Only 5 years for jamming? Hack RF1. Yeah, this is a bit more sophisticated because this one actually has can transmit and receive at the same time. A Hack RF1 can only transmit and receive separately. You can't do it at the same time. So that's kind of limiting. So this one can receive, transmit just like a normal radio, and has two of them. So it has two radios and two receives. You can jam in concert only. All this dust. When I get near, when I'm talking near the piano, then all the dust from the piano gives me an allergy. So, jamming, what is that link, Salt Lakers? That a safe link? I don't know what that link is. Tell me what the link is before I allow it. Is that a safe link? That's a cell, those are cell signals. So you can actually, read that with this. You can read that with this. What is that link there, Salt Lakers? I don't want you to be passing malware here, so just want to make sure the link is legit. So anyway, that's link safe in Brax. Brax passes the link through a check to make sure they're not malware. So yeah, you don't have to worry about. I mean, they can still track you with advertising, but the links themselves will be malware free. So because they're cross-checked for that. So it doesn't mean you can't be phished. Why do I want to read cell signals? Boredom. Hacking notes exonerated. The reason you want to study cell phone traffic is to study how it can be hacked. Because if you understand how cell phones are hacked, then you can understand how you are hacked. You start to understand how, somebody can have an IMSI catcher, because you can make an IMSI catcher with this device, and somebody can be a man in the middle on your conversations. So you're thinking you're talking privately, and then somebody has a man in the middle device like this, listening into your phone traffic. So that's boring. That's why you need to understand. You need to understand that, you don't have to worry about learning how to do it. I'm the one doing it. Then I want to just teach you so that I can show you what's happening. It's up for me to do the research, and then you just watch my videos. You don't have to do it yourself. Moira's back. Moira, did I bore you with all my radio talk? Moira's saying, we don't need any Zucking radios in New York City. Boring, not so. This has been the most interesting 3 days of your... Really, Kelp? I didn't think today would be interesting. People would say, "Oh, who wants to talk about this stuff?" But nobody else talks about this. This is, whoever heard of this stuff. If I don't talk about this, no one would. If I don't talk about this things that I've been talking about the last few days, no one would ever hear this. Last week, look at about the topics I talked about last week with, with Stingray, and all the ways to intercept your cell traffic and all that. I mean, your next job, DJ. But think about all the the stuff that I taught you about how your cell traffic is being can be spied on, and it's disgusting to me, and yet it's so easy to do. So hackers over at DEF CON are using this to test the technology to show you that yes, you are easily hacked with these devices. Are satellite phones any safer for spies? No, because satellite phones are routed through the internet just like anything else. It's really it gets routed to the internet. Almost everything, texting gets routed to the internet. Back in the old days, they used to be on independent like telephone lines. They don't do that anymore. It's cheaper to just route everything to the internet. So everything is just, this is why whatever you do, it's just going to get spied on because it's just going to go on the internet anyway. Who wants to listen to my social life? If they can make money off it, then they will. Okay? It's often, everyone thinks like kelp. It's not about you as an individual. It's about manipulation of large groups of people. That's what makes money. Manipulation of large groups of people. If I can have you all buy a Coke today, then it's good for Coke. If I want you to all buy, if I can manipulate you to all buy a this particular brand of radio and this model, then of course it's good for that. Now, if I'm using it to control an election or to change public opinion to push my own agenda, that's another way it's used. Okay, so that should worry you. I like people to think independently. I don't like people to tell me what to think about. And unfortunately, people with big money can use this same data that is used for mass surveillance can be used for manipulation. And because all of you are going to the same platforms, it's so easy to manipulate all of you, and you don't have any other source of information. This provides you with alternative sources of interaction and communication, and insulates you from the probability of just being here a one-sided news. And that's why, to me, it's very valuable. It's really different. That's why what I do is different, because I believe that we can all be manipulated by this. And some of you, it'll be listened and recorded. Well, of course it will be listened and recorded, Big Kahuna. They probably won't give him a computer either, right? But he won't be in jail for long for the current thing. That's what's the maximum for that? 6 months? I don't know. He's not going to be there for long. It's when they try to take him, extradite him is the issue. So if they say, we're going to extradite you, then where are they going to keep him while they're trying to extradite him? Don't they have to give him a bond? He's going to travel to your country, maybe my country or your country. I was on the fence about Assange, but Seth Rich stuff was abominable. What the zuck? Yes, free. Yes, free Assange. Yes, I'm. Thank you, entire Meyer. So anyway, this is. I like to not be mainstream. I like to what I talk about. I like to kind of tease your intellect a little bit with some ideas, because that's what I do to myself. I'm always searching for ideas, and it's very, very interesting to me. Yeah, he gets look. He's getting indicted for supposedly a crime with a maximum of 5 years in the U.S. And even if that were the case, then he'd get off in 1 year. So what, like some of this, like, What is the point of all this? Even if he were guilty, it's obviously not serious enough that it's not going to get you that many years. So like, why are we wasting all this energy? It's like, come on. Well, apparently they can't do it too much to him, since they only said, "Can this be a music scope, please?" No, I can't, Matthew Ryan Vick, because YouTube will. I can only do some music, and it cannot be. I cannot identify the music or play anything common, because it will demonetize my video. So I can't really do that. So anyway, I'm not again. So let me just repeat. I'm not going to broadcast tomorrow, but I'll try to make a quick video about some of the stuff that I'm showing you with the frequencies, and I'll just do a quick video of that. Then, of course, I'll do a video midweek. In theory, we're supposed to start sailing. In theory, we're supposed to start sailing on Wednesday, but I don't know. That's not clear yet. So if not this week, then next week we'll start sailing, and then we'll go back to our schedule on Friday. So okay, so no broadcast tomorrow. Just watch the videos. Hopefully you're all following me or subscribed to my account on YouTube. Sailing, you can use your radio. I have a radio on the boat. It's a different channel. You're not supposed to use ham radio when you have alternative means. Everyone on the boat has VHF. So we have VF channel. So my boat has a VHF radio. I have 3 radios in my boat. I have a big giant tall mast with a VHF antenna, and then I have 2 handhelds. So when we go on land, and we can communicate as do you play if I did that, Big Kahuna Man, I will get demonetized by YouTube. I'll get demonetized by YouTube. Watch my Matthew Ryan. I got many videos on music on my page, and they're not intended to be monetized, but they're separate videos. Your VHF and boat, you can connect to phone somehow? No. VHF is only VHF, and you don't need a license for VHF. On a boat, marine VHF, it does not need a license. So I've used that for a long time. So yeah, so we when we do races and things, everyone's communicating on VHF. So I've used VHF regularly on a boat. Do I fish? No, I'm a sailor. I sail. I did a lot of yacht racing before, but too lazy now to do it. But I did a lot of yacht racing. Got a lot of trophies for yacht racing. So that is my expertise in water. VHF. Got a but big boat live, then have pirate radio. Do you sleep on boat overnight? Yeah, you can. My boat can comfortably sleep 5 people. Yes, Big Kahuna, that's the way it is. They will demonetize you if you play a recognizable song. So, and I have many videos that are not monetized, so I don't have to worry about that. So if I made a separate broadcast just playing music, then and I'm certain that's not going to be monetized, then I don't really care. Is it a houseboat? It's a regular boat. Is your boat in dry dock? No, John. My boat is in the Zucking water. It's in Brax. Go to my profile on Brax. You can see my boat. Don't you see my? Go to Brax. Go click in my profile, and then go look at the boat on there. No Tinkerballs. That would be fun, but no, I haven't done that. That hasn't happened yet. Shucks. Too bad. So anyway, I hope you learn from this. I'm going to be, as I said I'll be expanding my topics to go beyond just standard internet things to things that we can do even away from the internet. So with these devices, um, maybe I can do a video showing you jamming, how you can be jammed with this stuff like that. That's probably a basic thing I can do easily. You race a Coronado in a regatta. Yes, Coronados are 1960s boats. Yeah, there's still a ton of them, but they're very very they're they're kind of yeah, videos on Raspberry Pi. Yes, I always get seasick. Jamming, he wants to jam stuff into other stuff. Sure. So anyway, uh, uh, thank you for watching, and I'll see you, I guess, in a video in the next few days. Hopefully, at least a couple, and then we'll see you back on Friday. Okay. Okay, guys. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the topic. Thank you. Good night.